President, please be seated. The court is now back in session, and the floor is given to the defense team for Noon Chea once again to continue putting questions to this witness. You may proceed, counsel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Witness, I would like to continue asking you some questions about Moon. Have you ever seen Moon in the company of Seng Sru?
No, I never saw it.
Have you ever heard after 1979 that Moon was a close friend of Seng Sru?
After 1979, no, I did not see Moon come to make any contact with Srun.
Maybe something went wrong in the translation. My question was, have you yourself heard after 1979 that Moon and Seng Srun had been friends in the decay period?
No, I did not.
Yesterday, Seng Srun testified in this chamber that Moon was a quote-unquote colleague palm tree climber and a close confidant of Seng Srun, and that Seng Srun knew about the killings because Moon told him about this. Can you give a reaction to that, please?
You asked me whether Seng Srun had any contact with Moon, and I already responded to your question. I did not know about the relationship between Moon and Seng Srun.
Just before the break, I was asking you whether you knew of another Moon. Did you know? You said no. Did you know who the chairman of the security office of the district was?
No, I did not.
Before the Southwest Zone cadres came, did you know who the security chief of Sector 41 was?
Please repeat your question.
Did you know who the security chief of Sector 41 was in 75, 76, up until the beginning of 77?
No, I did not know.
Does the name Song ring a bell?
No, it doesn't ring a bell.
Do you know who Khan's predecessor was? Who the secretary of Kang Mi's district was before Khan came? Do you know his name?
No, I did not. I did not even know who was the district chief.
Does the name Chun Ol, alias Mies, ring a bell?
Please repeat the name again.
Chun Ol, alias Mies. Maybe I don't pronounce it well. I will ask my national colleague to pronounce it properly.
The name is Jun Ol.
ហៅមាស
Jun Ol alias Mir.
គាត់ជាលេខា
He was a secretary of Gongmir district. No, I did not know this person. I never attended any meeting with him.
Mr. Withers, you were a militiaman in Sector 41. Did you at least know at the time who, before his arrest, the secretary of Sector 41 was? In other words, An's predecessor.
No, I did not know the Sector 41 committee. Never knew anything about the committee at all. We only heard people referring to Chief of Sector 41, but I did not know who he was or where he was.
Yet, before the break, you said that North Zone Sector 41 cadres were arrested, taken away and killed. How did you know that?
I believe that they all were killed. That was my belief. Because previously we saw those senior cadres, chief of the sector, for example, but later on they all disappeared.
Have you ever witnessed between 75 and 79 the actual physical act of killing somebody in front of your eyes being killed?
As I said, I saw people being walked away, but I never saw any mistreatment personally.
Sengsroon, excuse me, spoke about a meeting which Ta'an supposedly or allegedly attended. Have you ever heard whether in any speech An ever spoke about the former secretary of the North Zone, Khoi Thun?
While I was attending the meeting with all the people in the cooperative, he did not say anything to that effect. He spoke about us paying respect to Angka and work hard.
Speaking of An, you did say in your statement to the investigators that An was indeed present. How did you know that the person who spoke was in fact someone with the name An?
Because he presented himself.
But did he say his name or did he say only his function?
He made the announcement that he was the chief of the sector and his name was An.
Did An also speak about enemies within the people?
Yes, he did. The chief of the sector spoke about the enemy amongst the people.
And what at the time did you understood that to be? Who were the enemies within the people, hiding within the people?
I did not understand about it. Everyone strived to work hard. And when they spoke about the infiltrated enemies, nobody understood anything about it.
Did he make any reference, even the smallest, to cadres within Sector 41 who had been arrested?
I did not hear that announcement, but I heard about the infiltrated enemies.
But did he speak about those infiltrated enemies having held certain positions within the district or within the sector?
No, he did not. And people were arrested, so it was confusing. We did not know who the enemies were supposed to be.
But did he, for instance, say, well, we recently arrested the chief of the district and some people of Sector 41 because they were the enemies borrowing with him. Did he say words to that effect?
During the meeting, he talked about the so-called infiltrated enemies, and later on, from what I knew, innocent people were arrested.
How do you know that the former district chief or the Sector 41 people who were arrested were innocent? How did you know that?
I did not say those people were innocent, but while I lived there, whole family members were arrested and killed, and that happened after the arrival of the Southwest group.
But you agree with me that the word killed is speculation from your side because you haven't actually seen anything. Is that correct?
President Witness, you do not need to respond to this question. It is apparently leading.
Okay. Did An ever speak in his speech about the Cham people?
At that time, he did not say anything about the Cham people. I heard of the so-called infiltrated enemy, and later on the Cham people were arrested.
Let me now ask you a few questions about Otra Kun. Have you ever been able to get a glimpse inside the premises? Have you ever been able to see inside of the Wat, of the pagoda?
Please repeat your question and specify the period.
No problem. 1977, after the arrival of Southwest Zone cadres, have you ever been able to look inside Wat Otra Kun? Were you able to peek inside and see what was going on behind the walls?
I did not dare enter the pagoda compound in 1977.
Have you ever heard of delivery of food for the prisoners?
No, I was not aware of that.
Have you ever seen prisoners, skinny prisoners?
I already testified before this chamber that I saw people being walked and nothing else I saw besides that, because I did not dare to go near.
My last question to you, Mr. Witness, is maybe a little bit of a difficult question. I try to formulate it in simple terms. You said that when the loudspeakers played music at night, people were killed. Now, is that something that you realized after 79? In other words, is that knowledge that you acquired after 79? Or is it something that you knew at the time already? And if yes, how did you know?
I already testified to that effect. My house was 300 meters from the pagoda, and people were arrested, including pregnant women and young children. And by night time, the music was played over the loudspeaker, and I knew in my head back then that people were being killed.
But how did you know back then in your head that people were killed?
Allow me to clarify it once and for all. When the Cham people were arrested and placed into the pagoda, at night time the music was played over the loudspeaker, and the Cham people disappeared, and that happened until there was no longer any Cham living in the village.
My last question, do you agree with me that that is a conclusion of you, not something that you've actually seen or heard yourself?
President, Mr. Witness, you don't need to respond to this question, and you don't have to respond to any conclusion made by the counsel. Counsel for the defense. Good afternoon, Mr. President, Your Honors, and Mr. Witness. My name is Lee Sawana. I am one of the defense counsels for Onun Chi, and I have 3 questions to put to you. Not long ago, you said that before the arrival of the Southwest group, there was no killing of the Cham people, and upon the arrival of the Southwest, you saw the Cham people being walked, and you saw it from a distance, and you did not dare to approach. Can you tell the chamber what time was it when you saw the Cham people being walked? Answer, thank you, Mr. Counsel. I saw it when I was having my meal, my dinner. Question: was there still daylight, or was it already dark? President, Mr. Witness, please observe the microphone. Answer: no, it was not actually really dark yet. Question: and at that time, what was the actual normal hour for you to have your dinner? For lunch, it was at 11, and for dinner, it was between 5 and 5:30 in the afternoon. Question, and per your observation, as you testified, what time was it when you saw that event? Answer, it was between 5 and 6 p.m. Question, you testified that Moon was a vicious killer. However, based on your on the written record of Saint Srun, that is document E3/5302 at Khmer page number 7, and there was no EIN for this document, and for the English, EIN is 0210489, and the French EIN is at 00623192. And allow me to quote the statement of Mr. Saint-Strun. He states, Moon never killed anyone personally. He only accompanied the killers and watched them kill the people. End of quote. Free translation. Can you tell the chamber which version is the truth between yours and his? Answer, thank you, counsel, for asking me this question. Everybody at the time, and not only myself, was so afraid of Moon. Everyone, when they saw Moon, their muscle would flex. Question, what is your reaction to the statement by Saint Srun that Moon was not a vicious killer? President interrupts. Mr. Witness, you do not need to respond to this question. You are not in a position to provide any subjective assessment to a statement made by another witness. Counsel, thank you. I move on to another question. Mr. Witness, you said that you brought food to Saint Srun when he was detained, and do you know the reason for his arrest? Answer, I have already testified about the arrest of this person. I did not know about his arrest or about his release, and what I knew was that I brought him food and that he is still living today. Question, did anyone tell you the reasons for his arrest, that is the arrest of Saint Srun at the time? Answer, no, not at that time. And I saw him there, and I brought him food, and I did not know about his arrest, and later on I was aware that he was released to go and work with me in the cooperative. Counsel, thank you, Mr. Witness, and Mr. President. I don't have any further question for this witness. President, the floor is now given to the defense team for Kieu Sampon.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, Mr. Samrit Moy. I am Anta Gise. I am the co-international counsel for Kieu Sampon, and in this capacity, I'm going to put to you a few complementary questions. First, I would like to revisit your personal history in relation to what you stated in your record E3/9346, French ERN 00283-946, English ERN 00235507, Khmer 00235014. And I understood, or at least I believe so, when I read your statement that you left school in your 9th year because your parents were poor. So my first question is, what is the 9th year, in fact, for people who are not Khmer? Is this grammar school? Is this secondary school? Can you be more specific about that? Can you tell us exactly what age you stopped school and at what level?
Answer. I stopped school at grade 9. It was when I was 15 or 16 years old because my parents were poor. I quit school and became myself to be a worker at the rubber plantation, as I stated in the document.
And you said that you worked in the fields until 1971, or did you stop? So that means that you started working in these plantations before 1971.
But
Answer. Yes.
Et ma dernière
And my last question regarding this point is, were there many teenagers working with their parents in the plantations like you, where you were living?
Answer. There were many of them.
et nous sommes
We agree that this was before the Khmer Rouge arrived in your area. Is that correct?
Witness, could you repeat your question again? I do not get it.
The period during which you said that many teenagers were working with their parents in the plantations was before the arrival of the Khmer Rouge. Is that correct? And before 1971?
but
Answer. I was living in the rubber plantation from 64 or 65 until 1971 when there was B-52 bombing.
je vous remercie de ces
Thank you for this clarification. Now I'm going to turn to the period after 1975, and more specifically after 1976. And do you remember in which zone your location was?
ខ្ញុំអត់
Answer. I do not recall it. I do not know which zone my location was situated in.
vous avez évoqué
During your statement, you spoke about a certain number of people who had various positions, and I'd like to talk about these people again. You were a member of the militia, according to you, between 1973 and 1975. So did I understand your testimony properly?
Answer. That is true. I was the village militiaman from 1973 to 1975.
ensuite
Then from 1975 to 1976, were you a commune militiaman, if I understood your testimony properly?
Answer. After 1975, I was reassigned, and in mid 1976, I was reassigned to be a commune militiaman.
Et
And who was your chief when you were a commune militiaman?
Answer: I told the chamber already, E and Nam.
est-ce que vous
Did you ever hear about a so-named Rune?
Answer: I have never heard the person by the name Run.
vous avez
You explained to the co-prosecutor that you were afraid of the group of the long swords. So do you remember people, or do you remember the names of people who were part of this long swords unit?
Answer: I have told the chamber already I did not dare to stay near those members of this group. I do not know them.
est-ce que vous
Do you know someone by the name of Lav Chai, Chay?
Answer: no. It appears that I have never known this person, Lao Joy.
do you- est-ce que vous connaissez un certain Meng Li?
Do you know a person by the name of Meng Li?
បាទបើមីងលីនៅក្នុង
Answer: Meng Li was living within my village.
Est-ce que vous savez
Do you know if he was part of the Long Swords group?
បាទ
Answer: all I know is that Meng Li was part of Longsword group. He was working and building the dam at the time, what I could see.
Do you know a person by the name of Heng Pa?
ស្គាល់លោក
Answer: yes.
est-ce que vous savez
And do you know where he came from? And if he was part of the Long Swords unit?
Answer: during that time, I was not quite sure. Heng Pa was living within the village. I did not know after the new composition of the group was formed, because I did not stay close to that group.
et est-ce que
And do you know someone by the name of Yun, Y-E-U-N?
ស្គាល់លោក
Answer: yes.
est-ce que vous savez
And do you know where he came from? In which village he was living? And if he was part of the Long Swords unit?
ដូចខ្ញុំ
Answer: I have told already Yuan was living within my village, and once again, whatever they did at that time, I do not know. I did not have any contact or relationship with the group.
et enfin
And finally, do you know someone by the name of Tai Kim Hoon? And do you know where he came from? And if he was part of the Long Swords unit?
Answer. Regarding Tai Kum Hoon, I have told the court once already. I do not know whether he was part of the long sword group.
Mais vous le
Well, did you know him, or you know him? So can you tell us where he came from?
Answer. His home village was in Angkoban village. However, he married his wife in Sambomir A village. All I know is that he was working in the same cooperative as me, and I do not know, I am not aware that he was a part of that long sword group. I only learned at this time from you.
During the decay period, did you personally witness arrests carried out by the Long Sword Unit?
Answer. I never witnessed the arrest by that group. I told you already, and for example, Tai Kum Hoon, you asked me about him. I do not know what he was doing at that time.
vous avez
You spoke about the arrest, or in any case, about the march of a group of Cham people who had been arrested when they were marched to the pagoda. So, were you able to see who led them to the pagoda on that day? And among the people that I mentioned, did you see any of these people escorting the Cham to the pagoda?
Answer. I have testified already. I could see the march from a distance. Once again, regarding Tai Kum Hoon, I do not know him. I could see only the march from a distance and the march of Cham people, including the children.
si j'ai bien
If I understood your testimony properly, when you saw this group being marched, you were in the kitchen of your cooperative. Did I understand your testimony properly?
បាទ
Answer. Yes, that is correct.
et je ne sais
I don't know if I have the wrong information, but can you tell me how far the kitchen was from the pagoda?
ពីកន្លែងរោងបាយ
Answer. It was about 300 meters away.
et
So therefore you tell us that 300 meters away, you were not able to see who were the people escorting this group of Chams on that day.
បាទ
Answer. That is true.
on vous a
You were already confronted with the testimony of witness Seng Srung, who testified just before you, and who explained that apparently you were part of the group that he arrested in 1976, and who also said that you were a militiaman until 1979. And in order to give you the full picture, I would like to read out two excerpts from his testimony, but that do not correspond, in fact, to his written record, but that he said during the hearing. So the first excerpt of his testimony, this was at 3:40 in the afternoon yesterday, and this is what he said regarding his arrest in 1976. It is Samret Mui who came to arrest me and I don't know who gave that order, but it is Samrat Mui who came to arrest me. I knew many people in the security unit. There were Sreng and Mui and others who were members of the security guard unit. End of quote, free translation. So my first question is, yes, were you yes or no among the members of the security guard unit? And did you participate, yes or no, in the arrest of Sreng Srung as he told the chamber yesterday?
Answer. I have testified already as a militiaman. At that time, I was simply a subordinate. I had no authority to arrest him, and I do not know why he was arrested and when he was released. And I brought a rice to him to eat. That is why he survived the regime, and he is living now.
The second excerpt that I would like to read out to you, and it was at yesterday's hearing again, a little bit after 3:54 and 25 seconds in the afternoon. The question that was put to Sreng Srun was, so I can understand from your answer that you saw Samrat Mui carry out his duties as a militiaman until 1979. Is that the case? And his answer is yes. And a little later on, he's going to specify, or he specified, so this was yesterday, 14 September, a little bit before 3:54 and 25 seconds in the afternoon. And this is the question that was, well, this is what he says regarding you, in fact. He says, based on what I know, he held this position from 73 to 79, and then he did not dare go back to his home village to live, and he fled to Chamkar-le. End of quote. So my question is the following. Are you sure that you were not a militiaman until 1979? And second question, did you, yes or no, as Sreng Srung said, did you flee to Chamkar-le when the regime fell?
Answer. Thank you, Counsel. I want to specify this point for you. From 1973 to 1975, I was a commune militiaman, and I would be tasked to perform my duties when they needed me. Secondly, Saint Strun said that I was a militiaman until 1979. It's not true. I can vouch for my testimony. In 1977, I was in a terrible situation. In 1978, when the plot was in a terrible condition, Saint Stone and I went to find a snakes rather, correct.
I'm confronting you with these statements because Sreng Srung specified when he was asked if you were a militiaman really until 1979, and this is what he said at the hearing of 14 September, again, a little bit before 3:54:25 in the afternoon. And this is what he said. Please let me specify here. I'm not saying this because I want to denounce anyone. As a witness, I'm speaking and I'm telling you the truth about what I knew. I have been living in Sambor Mia since the age of 1, and I've been living there for 65 years. So I'm speaking to you about what I saw. End of quote, free translation. So my question is, since according to what you're saying, Sreng Srung is not telling the truth, so can you tell us why he would be lying about you? Do you have any kind of personal problem with him? Can you explain why he would be saying things that are not true to the chamber about you?
Answer. Thank you, Counsel. He stated that I was a militiaman until 1979. You stated that Seng Sun told you that I pledged to rubber plantation. At that time, I asked to work in the plantation. Seng Sun was working in the plantation at that time, and I have to tell you that I was on the same boat as him, and I did not work as a militiaman until 1979. I was in a terrible situation in 1977, as I told you.
Et
Let me put that question to you again. So, is there any reason why Seng Srun would lie before the chamber?
ដោយលោកបាន
Answer. He stated that I was the one who arrested him, but in fact, I was the one who brought the rice to him to eat. He could survive because of this. He is living at the moment because of my good deeds. He survived the regime. Please be informed.
je comprends.
So, I understand from what you're saying that as of 1977 you were no longer a militiaman, and that you no longer enjoyed the privileges that you may have had previously. So must I understand from your testimony that after 1977 you no longer attended any meeting at the militia, commune or village level?
បាទ
Answer. No.
Je n'ai pas eu de traduction.
I did not get the translation, so could you please repeat your answer? I didn't get the French translation.
Could you clarify it for me? I cannot get what you said.
Est-il exact
Yes. Is it true that after 1977 you no longer attended any meeting within the village or commune militia?
Answer. I no longer attended any meetings after that time.
Est-il exact
Is it true that you attended no meeting between the longsword unit and people in leadership positions at the commune or sector level?
បាទ
Answer. It is true.
Est-il exact
Is it so that as of 1977 you were just an ordinary worker and therefore you had no access to the information that was held by the security or commune or sector people?
Answer. It is true.
Le dernier
The last point of my cross-examination will be to clarify a point with you. When you said to the president that you had met the investigators of the OCIJ twice, so can you tell us when these two times happened?
បាទ
Answer. Regarding the first interview, I do not recall the date, and there was a written record for me. And I was also informed that I would be appearing before the chamber in October.
Donc, si je comprends,
So, if I understood well, the second interview you had was not with the investigators. It was maybe with the unit in the tribunal that was in charge of organizing your testimony before this chamber, if I understood you properly.
Answer, yes, that is true.
je vous remercie de ces précisions.
Thank you for this clarification. I have no further questions, but my colleague Kong Samon does.
Mijn Kamer.
President, you may now proceed. Council Kong Samon. Council Kong Samon. Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, Mr. Witness. I will have a short questions for you in relation to timelines, particularly in relation to the time when you saw young people were being marched. You made mention about the time when you saw the march, but I want to know the year. When did that happen? Answer, it happened in 1977. Regarding the date or day, we do not know about the day and the dates exactly during that period. Question, in document the 166/26 in Khmer 0023 50 15, English 0023 5508, French 0028 39 47. It is the written record of your interview. You stated 2 points. One is about the year when you saw young people were being arrested. It was in late 1976 or early 1977. A while ago, you stated that the march happened in 1977. But in your document, you stated very clearly that it happened in late 1976 or early 1977. So which version is correct then?
77លោក
Answer, it happened in 1977.
បាទសូមអរគុណ
Council, thank you. Could you clarify this point once again for the chamber? How many times did you see young people were arrested when you were in your base area or in the cooperative? Answer, I have told the chamber already, Mr. Lawyer. While I was living a mingle with young people, they were not arrested at that time. However, in 1977, all of them were arrested. Council, thank you. This morning at about 10 o'clock, you have testified, and in the last sentence, you stated that the killing happened from time to time until 1979. So which one is correct? Is the version in your written record of interview correct, or what you said this morning correct? Answer, I would like to clarify this point for you, Mr. Counsel. After from 1977 to 1979, not only Cham people were killed, Khmer people were also killed. Pregnant women and children were taken to be killed. As I have told the chamber I did not dare to stay close the arrested people. I was afraid at that time, and I do not know why the innocent people were taken away and killed. Counsel, so can you respond to my question? Is it true that you witnessed Cham people were arrested only one time? Answer. It happened only at one time when I saw it. Counsel, thank you. Are you aware that Cham people in other villages besides Saikso were also killed? Answer. I did not dare to trespass into other people's areas. I was only moving around within Saikso village. Question. How did you know that those Cham people were taken from Saikso just only one time? Answer. I have testified and told the chamber already. During that time, I was in the kitchen at that one particular incident. Cham people, including the old, the young, and babies, were arrested and marched. Counsel, thank you. You made mention earlier that you saw the march during the time that you were having dinner, and you do not know the number of Cham people who had been arrested. And at one particular time, you said Cham people, the number of Cham people were more than that of Khmer people. Do you recall that you made this statement? Answer. Yes, I can recall it. There were many Cham people living in Saikso village, and only a few Khmer people were living mingled with those Cham people. Counsel, my next question is that you do not know the number of Cham people arrested from Saikso village. How did you learn that Cham people from Saikso were arrested at that time from the entire village? Answer. After the arrest, no more Cham people living in Saikso village. Counsel, how do you know? Can you tell the source of your information? Answer. Thank you, Mr. Counsel. You repeatedly asked me about this point. In short, Cham people had all been arrested. Only one could flee. Man and together with his wife was hiding in the lake at that time. Counsel, I did not have any problem with your testimony, but I want to know clearly about Cham people that you said today. All of them had been arrested from the entire village, and you do not know about the exact number of Cham people in that Saikso village. Where did you learn the information that the entire Cham people had been arrested. Is it your own conclusion? Answer. No more Cham people were living in the village. So what else can I tell you? Counsel. After the arrest of Cham people, did you go to visit Saxo village? Answer. No, I did not go to the village to see whether there were Cham. Mr. President, I am concluded with my questioning. President, it is now time for the adjournment. The chamber will adjourn its hearing now, and it will resume the hearing tomorrow, 16 September 2015 at 9 a.m. Tomorrow, the chamber will start to hear 2 TCW 873. The hearing of testimony of Mr. Somrat Mui has come to an end now. Thank you very much, Mr. Somrat Mui, for being here as a witness. Your testimony will contribute to the truth in this case. You may now be accused. You may return to your residence or to any place you wish. I wish you good luck and prosperity in your life. Court observed together with West Su unit, please send Mr. Somrat Mui to his residence or to any place he wishes to go. Thank you very much. Also, Mr. Mom Latir, the duty counsel, you may also be accused. Security personnel are instructed to bring Mr. Kirsampon and Nuon Chia back to ECCC detention facility and have them returned into the courtroom tomorrow before 9 a.m. The court is now adjourned.